I joined a gym with a colleague. She lasted 2 months, but I got involved and lost 18 kilograms in 10 months. At work, I collected compliments, and then I started to catch sympathetic looks, and someone offered to help me. It turned out that colleague thought of telling everyone that I lost weight because I was seriously ill because of sports doping. She replied to my indignation that if it was possible to lose weight through sports, she would have succeeded. And if she couldn't, then I was obviously taking something. My friend manipulated me to break up with my young man, and exactly the day after the breakup, she started dating him herself. And this was after she had said a lot of nasty things about him. I'm back from India. I was on the subway, tanned and happy. An empty carriage, standing next to the door, smiling. A woman sits opposite and stares at me angrily. One stop, the second, the third. Then suddenly she gets up, comes up to me and steps on my foot, turns around and leaves the car. I still remember it with laughter. A friend was getting married this summer. She cried on the phone that, except for us, no one would help her. She wrote to everyone that the wedding was cancelled, then flooded with options of cafes and restaurants with a request to help with the choice. We were waiting for the wedding as a salvation. Finally, announced the date, the bride wrote to all of us to wait for invitations. The venue will be a surprise. 3 days before the date, no invitations where the wedding will be. It is unclear. A week later, I saw in Instagram photos of happy newlyweds. Asked our bride how the wedding was. The answer was amazing. "Oh, everything is great. I'm so happy. I'm sorry I didn't invite you. We had more relatives than we planned. I mean, they're all my relatives now, so I couldn't hurt them. And you're already married anyway. What didn't you see at the wedding?" That was the end of a 17-year friendship. My ex-boyfriend and I were together for 2.5 years. We went to church. We were going to get married. In the same church we met my ex-girlfriend Masha. We became friends very quickly. She came to us often. And one day my ex announces to me that we are splitting up, and 2 weeks later I find out that they are going to get married. About a year ago, I was offered to manage the Instagram page of the store where I worked. I decided to give it a try. My friend has been managing accounts for a year now, and it seemed to me that in case of anything, I could ask her for advice. Before that, I often helped her choose photos, fonts, and ideas for posts. We could sit in cafes for 2 hours and discuss her project. I thought it was normal. Why not help a friend? So I started working on my account and remembered that my friend works with a very handy app for layouts. I wrote to her, asking her to suggest an application, and she said, "You know, if I give away the apps I work into every one, I'll lose my relevance. So no." I thanked her, Googled it, and found the app at the first request, and I never considered her a friend again. This year, for our anniversary, my husband decided to make my dream come true. I had long wanted to spend a weekend in the mountains, but work or something else prevented us from doing it. 2 days before the anniversary, my beloved told me to take a day off and pack my things. I didn't know where we were going. I just got in the car and relaxed. When I arrived at the place, I almost screamed with joy. My husband rented a little house with a view right over the mountains. We spent the whole weekend relaxing in the vat and enjoying the mountains and the tranquility around us. It was the best gift I could have ever imagined, a dream come true. When I was in the 5th grade, I was in the hospital, lying in intensive care. When I woke up, my mom put a stack of letters on my bed. It turned out that my teacher, who treated me very well, had asked my class to write letters of support instead of essays. Then the letters were given to my parents. 40 years later, I still keep them in a separate locker. I had the best teacher in 5th grade. Thanks to her, I decided to become a teacher. I remember coming to school one day in my brother's tattered, ragged clothes. My hair was tangled and my stomach was rumbling with hunger. I was a walking disaster, and the kids teased me. Behind it all, my teacher saw potential in me. She never got angry, even when a string of curses flew from my lips, as she patiently brushed my hair. She made sure I wasn't teased, fed me, and genuinely cared. In the 8th grade, I stayed for a second year. The situation at home was difficult. I had no friends. My teacher, thank him very much, started to involve me in social life. I remember he knew I liked skateboarding, so he brought me and some friends to a city council meeting where they were discussing a new skate park and needed the kids' opinion. He also bought 20 synthesizers with his own money and started teaching music, and then participated in a television show with his students. He's been my best friend for 12 years. One day, we were hanging out together, and suddenly he says, "Marry me," as if in jest. I joked back, and then, at night, he texted me a long message confessing his feelings for me. I didn't know if I loved him or not. I just said yes, like it was meant to be. I married him 3 months later, and every day I fall in love with him more and more. I learn new things about him. He is fun, interesting, warm, reliable. And I clearly realize that even if my feelings fade one day, our family will live on. I always thought that love is when they give you presents and flowers, but there is nothing better than when he brings you coffee in the morning without you asking, and silently brushes your hair out of your comb because you always forget about it. Sometimes you can feel so much love in such little things that no expensive gift can cover it. At 2 years old, the temperature rose above 40 degrees Celsius. IVs, mom is on duty at the bedside, hears from doctors that a fatal outcome is possible. In the morning, dad arrives, and to mom's tired, "We almost lost our daughter," he answers. "Marina, leave me alone. I want to sleep so much." For 15 years now, I have a new dad who loves me like his own, supports me, and has become a great friend. When I was in school, I saw on the internet how different beauty bloggers were increasing the volume of their lips with the help of special jars. Why am I worse? I took this vacuum jar and sucked it into my lips. I walked around like that for about 10 minutes, discussing this trick with my classmates and friends. The next day, 3 idiots with blue bruises around their lips were walking around the school. One day I was happy from school. I always had bad grades in mathematics, but here I got 5. There was no limit to the joy. I run into the entrance and meet my neighbor in the stairwell, and I'm like, "Hi," and he's like, "Hi." Then I happily asked him to hug him. He allowed me, and I hugged him. We've been together for 4 years now. I run to visit him in the evenings. We're moving into our apartment soon. Share your stories and impressions in the comments, and maybe your story will become a masterpiece in one of our upcoming videos. Let's dive into the world of slimes and stories together.